Daf Hey in Bava Metzia. So we are in the middle of the discussion here. Excuse me. Where are we? Okay, we spoke the two Rabchiyas. The first Rabchiya was that just like if you make a partial confession to a person, a concession to a person's claim, you have to swear on the balance. Surely, if Adim come along, not surely we learn at Tav Shabbat, that if Adim come along, that you have to swear on the balance. And the second was about a mixes with a halach. If you made it mixes your partial admission and you say, here, the part that I admit, here it is. And then whether you have to swear on the balance or not, yes, it's like any other made mixes. According to the Sheshes, no, because whatever you gave, you already eliminated, it's off the table. And therefore, the other claim that you have, I'm totally denying it. So I'm no different than any kaifer hakel where I'm part. Toshma. Coming here, we're going to find that finally somebody actually argues with the first Rab Chia about Adim. Toshma coming here, Tony about the father of Rabbi Apoitori said that Rab Chia Kamaisa, according to the first Rab Chia, he was addressing the first Rab Chia, that is, but that if Adim come along, money guy Reuben says $100. Denies it, but Adim they come along to it and say, but you owe 50. So Rabchia Kamaisa says you have to swear on the balance, like any other Maidim mixes. Says the father of Apoturiki, you would think Rabchia is right that you have to swear the balance. No way. Tamalamer have a pasuk that says clearly that you don't. Only if you make a personal confession, just like we had that if you make a full shvua and you admit that you made a full shvua about whether you're minding somebody's object, you have to pay a penalty of a quarter. You have to bring a carbon asham. But if Adim find you out, you don't pay it. Same thing over here. You don't swear on the balance. You would think you do. That you have to admit, Pash al haydos pivat the Torah is saying dafke yomer, dafke if you said it, kiyuzeh. The chayva does Adim, but if Adim are the ones who say parts, then you don't swear the balance. Says the Gemara, masnita karamit the late Rabchia. What are you asking a kasha for one brayso on Rabchia? Who do you think Rabchia is? Rabchia tanu polid. Interesting, the Gemara said Rabchia is a Tana and Polig, and Tez already remarks. If we learn before Tani Rabchia, that is a brisa. This is when do you ask a kasha from one brisa to another brisa? Unless the Gemara's girsa before was Amar Rabchia. So therefore it wasn't said as a brisa, it was said as Amar Rabchia. Anyway, he's a Tana and he argues. Something like that, yeah. So therefore I have to tell you that he's a Tana. What are you asking? But the Gemara said, but he brings up a ferish apostle, Asher Yoima, that you say. Ahula made a mix that taina. That pasuk is being used to tell you that a made mix has to swear. Remember, ki hu zeh, you're pointing to this, and the way we normally dash is who is that part we don't agree with, and zeh is the part that I made. So part and part. And then we learned Adim Makal from that. And that's how he learns it from that. He says, no. Zeh, when I say zeh, I'm admitting to if I'm admitting to all of it, then what are we arguing about? Then zeh means I'm admitting to part of it. I don't need the who, just the zeh alone. And from who I dash is something else. Steve zeh, chad l'moed mitzvah taina. One is to tell you that what? That made the mix of the time you swear. The other one is to come to make an exception. But if Adim are the ones who make you admit to part of it, then you don't have to swear in the balance. You deal with what the Adim spoke about. You don't deal with what the Adim did not deal with. The contrary, what does he do now with the two drushes, the zeh and the who? You're saying by the mix is Yechayiv, and you're saying a kabel that Adim also Yechayiv. So what do you do with the other drusha? You know what you use other drasha for? That when you make a claim, let's say you say to me, you owe me $100 worth of wheat. And I say, no way, I only owe you $50 worth of barley. I took from you $50 worth of barley. So there's a machlekes, and whether you have to swear moed mix or not. Why yes, it's a moed mix. You ask for, but why no? Because you asking for wheat, and I'm discussing barley. We're not talking about the same thing. No, the idach moedim minatayna less late, and so the father up he holds that I don't believe in this moedim. You don't need moedim minatayna. The savalei kirabim gamliel, so he holds like gamliel. Now we learn ta'anu chitin. The hoydle say, and I ask you for wheat, and you moedim barley potter, you potter. Now, when we say potter, What do you put it from exactly? The Chachamim say you asked me for it. So no, but Rabchi holds like your Chachamim, and the father holds like your Gamliel, and therefore the halacha is actually like a. But if you hold, so you ask me for $100 worth of wheat, and I'm made $50 worth of barley. Put from what? That's for sure. That's what you think. Says Tosfos, not only you don't have to swear, you're asking me for $100 worth, I don't have to swear the balance. I'm putting from the barley. Why? Because you're not asking for it, which means you're making me for it. You're not asking me for barley. Yeah. So Tosfos says you putter legambri. You putter completely. The Rebbe explains that the machlekes and gamliel and chachamim is the machlekes when you look at the quality or the quantity. In other words, when I'm asking you for I gave you $100 worth of wheat. Are we talking about the wheat or are we talking about the value? The eichus, which is the value, or the comments exactly what the substance was. So the Gamliel says we look at the eichus, at the value. What's wheat, barley? I'm asking you for $100 value, and you're conceding $50. So therefore, that's a made in mixes, even though it's not a minatayim. And the Chachamim say no, that we look at the kamos, and therefore because we look at the kamos, and then we explain that's the machlek of Elazar and Azariah and Gamliel. If Rabbi Gamliel only limited the yeshiva Gemara brachas to only the Ivy League students, and Rabbi Yeshua, and Shua, everybody else, Elazar and Azariah, they let everybody in. The machlekes was kamos versus eichus. Gamliel Shitose believes it look at quality, and they say no, that kamos is machri eichus. The kamos influences the eichus.
It's also interesting here. Why so one Where'd you ever see Rav Abduriki quoted in the Halshas?
I don't know.
But his father's claim to fame is
there were a lot of Tanaim that we don't even know about. That we had a Tana Rabbi Aaron, if you remember, just a few weeks ago. Another one, Rabbi Kohen. We had another Rabbi Cohen. When do you have people you see once?
Exactly.
I would there was a shepherd every day that people would give him, or this particular person would give him some animals to mind for him with witnesses. But one day he couldn't find the witnesses, whatever it is, he gave it, he trusted him after all this time. But what happened was then when he came to collect his animals, the guy said, in fact, the guy thought now every day bring witnesses, but I'll be believed because we're the witnesses. Yeah, exactly. So he was biding his time. Also, Sadi came along to witness it and said, we saw him eat 2 of those sheep. So this is exactly the case we had before, the paradigm, which is Reuven is saying to Shimon, you owe me $100, you owe me 5 cows. Shimon is saying, I owe you nothing. And come along to it and say, but 2 cows we saw yet you already had. So that was a mixas. If the halacha is like the first Rabchia that witnesses make you swear the balance, mishtabash is with the rest. The fact that he says if the halacha Rabchia, so the Rishonim have done this discussion. So does that mean he's doubting whether the halacha Rabchia? But like they conclude all that the halacha Rabchia, he's just speaking. Abai said, I understand. Since he's been a proven ganav, what's the point of making him swear? If he's a ganav, he'll swear false. I didn't mean that you should make it. A shvua has to be here, but he can't swear, so we're going to make the other guy swear. You make the other guy swear. That's what I meant. So the owner of the cattle is going to go swear. Tosfos asks a very basic question. Sometimes we say that if a person cannot swear, we would say we'll have a case but we'll have cases where we say that since I say you owe me $100 and you say, well, $50 I know, $50 I don't know about, or I don't know if I owe you the money. So let's say we make him swear. And we say you're not denying the other $50, you're saying I don't know. So how can you swear? Pay the other 50. And here we say the other guy should swear. When do we say that if you cannot swear, you have to pay? And when do we say if you cannot swear, we'll transfer the shvua from you to the plaintiff?
I can't make a shvua and force you to.
Yeah, that's generally the rules. Except we had a few exceptions, for example, by the Chenvenish name, but you're right. But here we can't swear. You should be swearing and pattering yourself. But you came along and said, I don't know if I owe you the other 50. So what are you going to swear? Say what? So therefore we transfer. Over there we say pay. But here we're saying shekinegder. What's going on here? So Tosfos like this. Tosfos says when the reason why you cannot swear is because you're not capable of swearing. For example, you say I don't know. So what are you going to swear? It's your fault. So you should have known. So therefore, we make you pay. Over here, the raya is ready to swear that he never took it. We're not letting him because we don't trust him. In that case, a shua has to be done, and he was ready to swear. We're not letting him. So then we transfer the shua to the other party. Okay, shua has to be done. Let you swear, and you'll collect. This is a takanas chacham. It's not the title you right. You swear and you put it. That's a takanas chacham. Says the Gemara, hash to namid lesser chia. Since you're doubting the law of chia, let's assume there's no law of chia. Over the Chaim Rav Nachman, we're looking more shvuas. We already mentioned before. There's a concept called shvuas hesses, a shvu that Rabbanan, decided that convinced that we have to have a shvu here. We can't just let it go like this. With the Rabbanan. So what's the case? Now we learned money you're $100. You see, you deny it. The din according to one version of the Gemara in Shavuos, the halach is your potter, and Amnach comes along and says, "Mashbina shus hesses." Why make shus hesses? Because even though we have a chazaka, ain't adam made pano, so you're telling the truth that when you deny it, there's a counter chazaka that says chazaka ain't adam teveya elim kenyesh boy. I don't stand the belt and I go to people they owe me money. Must be something to it. So therefore, Rabbi Nachman says, you know what? Make a shua. So forget Rabbi Chia. The raya denies it. The shepherd is denying it. So he should swear a shvuas hesses, and then since he cannot swear, we're going to transfer the shvua to the owner of the cattle, and he'll collect his cattle. What do you need a chiyuv for here? So Gemara says no. This shvua of Ramnach is only the kazachamim, and to make a double takazachamim, first of all you should swear, and if you can't swear, we're going to move the shift of the shvua, which is a second takazachamim, from you to the owner, because Ma'atayda, you're right, you don't swear and collect. We're only doing takazachamim. You don't make a double takana. But takanta lo yavdinu. That far we don't go. Says the Gemara, but let me ask you a question. Why do you need witnesses? You tell me, you know why the guy can't swear? Because witnesses caught him out. Even witnesses that catch him out. We know that every shepherd is considered a ganef because they let the animals graze in other people's, fields, and therefore they're ganavim, and therefore they cannot swear. Irrelevant if he was caught out or not. If the balabas says, "I gave you cattle," and he says, "No." We should have the shvu, and then the other guy should swear. It's a meaning that he's a shepherd. And Rabbi Yehuda said that every shepherd is possible. Like kasha. You know when a shepherd is possible? Hadi day. Very interesting rule. If he's a shepherd who also uses his own animal, he wants to try to wiggle his way out of paying any money or spending money. So he takes lets his animals go into other people's fields and pasture and graze. Well, if he's taking care of other people's animals, he'll charge them for it. Why in the world should he? Why should he do an aveda to help other people out? Why should he steal to help others? What benefit does he have from it? And therefore, this shepherd we're talking about over here is he's using other people's animals. So such a shepherd is not automatically a ganef. Why would he steal? We have a rule. Tomorrow we'll say in a minute. You don't sin unless you have a personal benefit from it. To be a ganef to help someone else out. And what benefit do I have from that? I can charge you for it. If not so, how can give your animals to if every shepherd is a ganef, what right do you have to give your animal to a shepherd? You know that because of you, he's going to steal. Well, we have a rule, an axiom. Nobody sins if he doesn't have a personal benefit. When Rabbi Yehuda said that a shepherd, stam shepherd is a ganef, he was talking about a shepherd of his own cattle. Says about it further. The Mishnah says, okay, you say the whole thing is yours. You say the whole thing is yours. What happens? Each one swears that he doesn't have less than half, or each one swears about half, and that's it. So the Gemara wants to understand what's going on here. He's claiming the whole thing, and he's swearing about half. Your shvu is in a way contradicting what your claim is. Says the Gemara. First, let's understand. Al the islay mishtabe, or al the leslay mishtabe. Is he swearing that what I'm holding on to is really mine? So he says, I don't have less than half, and I have the talent less than half, or you're swearing about the other half that you didn't give to me, and he's saying here that it's mine. What is he swearing on? The problem is, if he's going to swear, does he swear that I have half, or does he swear I don't have less than half? If he swears I don't have less than half, is a problem, and the problem is, if he really owns a third or a quarter, and he swears I don't have less than half, he's a liar, right? Because you say you do have less than half. But if he has nothing, then it's not a lie, because in his mind, he can say, when I say I don't have less than half, it's true. I don't have less than half. I don't have a quarter. I have nothing. So it's consistent with his shvur. So what exactly is his shvur here? Says the Gemara, this is what he says. Shvur, first of all, he has to establish, definitely I have a chelik in the talus. And then the only bapach is mechesed, but I don't have less than half. So now we understand exactly. He's not. He's definitely claiming to have half the talus. Says the Gemara, the name of Shvuah. Why doesn't he swear a shvuah that backs up his claim? What does he know why? Because then it looks like a farce. Well, we're not going to give him the whole thing. So they're both going to swear the whole thing is mine. It looks like a mockery. How can a bezin then you have in front of you that people are not respecting the law because one of them definitely is lying. So you might have a name or let him just say shvuah shli. So half is mine. But the Buddha can't say half is mine because then his count it's contradicting his claim. But now that he says half about Hashanami model the Buddha, but saying not less than half, Omar, this is what he says. Foolishly. Really the entire house is mine. But according to your request, you want me to make a shvuah. Shvuah sheyeshli bo. I definitely have talis, and ainly but pachad. I don't have less than half. I really have more than half. I in fact have the whole thing. So he's not contradicting himself, but it doesn't look like a mockery. Says the Gemara. Yeah, but the idea is we have to be very careful because people remember we have more shvuahs. The guy had a cane. And he swore over there that I never stole it, but the money was hidden in the cane. And he asked the guy, "Do me a favor, hold the cane for me." He said, "I swear I don't have it in my possession," because he didn't. And then we say that you have to swear. Sometimes it's not enough to swear down his bezin. You have to actually spell it out what you're saying, because otherwise people delude themselves. I'm saying these words, but I don't really mean exactly what you think I'm saying. Since they're both holding on to it, why need a shvuah? The fact that they're holding on to it, non-sadi, that each one has half, and then that's it. Why do you need a shvuah at all? So the Gemara, Omar, Rabbi Yechon, and shvuah, it's a deterrent. We're scared that one of them is a ganef. You shouldn't go. People sometimes delude themselves, think, look, it's not really yours. You found it in the street. So why be so greedy? Take the whole thing. I'll take part of it. I'll share with you. It's mine. You know the famous story. This guy had money and came to a town every Shabbos, Mamash before Shabbos, had nobody to put the place of money, didn't know who to trust. He went to Chumash and he put it in the page where it says in the Torah, and he put the money right there. And he hoped that whoever opens the Chumash and he sees the money, see right where the Signav that says it. Comes back, turns to the Signav, nothing there. He leaves through the pages and he sees. In Kedai, it says in Kedai, half the money was there. So the same thing over here. People think that I'm not a god really, because it's not really yours. Says the Gemara. If so, the name. Why don't we say Migu the Chosher? You're telling me that Chosher is a ganef. No, if Chosher is a ganef, what's the point? Chosher Shvasa. Gemara says, we don't say it. The rule is that and that's the Gemara bring a number of proofs. Abaye is going to argue, and in fact, according to the Rif, he passes like Abaye that yes, and Rashi, remember we learned by the Mikra, Rashi also follows the pattern but Taisus holds like most of Shonim that the Gemara concludes right here that if somebody, just because a guy is a ganef, he won't. Now why not? What's it?
Means we've established to ganef, or it means we suspect.
We'll see in a minute. Why not then? Why? First of all, why is he more worried about shvuah? So Taisha says when he said the third commandment, the whole world trembled. The Gemara Shvuah gives a number of things. In fact, the first thing the Gemara concludes, the main reason why people will not swear false is because it says it was lo yenaka. It's the only Aveda Hashem says, I will not forgive you for using my name in vain. So therefore, because it says lo yenaka, people are scared. But the Ganva they will. So Chosher Mayna loy Chosher Ashvasa. So Taisa asks the question. So why is a real Gazan apostle shvuah? If Chosher Mayna loy Chosher Ashvasa, every Gazan should be able to swear. So Taisa makes a difference between a Gazan being apostle edis and a Gazan being apostle shvuah. A Gazan is apostle edis mahatayda. A Gazan really mahatayda should be able to swear. Because Migu the Chosher Amamayna loy Chosher Ashvasa. The Rabbanan came along and said, you know what? We don't want him to swear either. We don't want him to swear. Only the Rabbanan. Once he's established, the Ganav we don't want. But Abu Yudah, the same thing, the same idea. I mean,
the apostle say because they don't care about the.
Yeah, but that's not a Ganav. A Ganav Gazim Atoyda Tosha Rosha Eid. A Chamsin is even a Chamsin. Yeah, I said, but even a Chamsin where you paid. Machlekes is possible.
The whole reason he sneaks is because
I understand, but a chamson, which is the best, he paid for it. Still, he's postulated. Machlekes mahatayim and rabbanon, but he's postulated. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid comes along and says, no difference shavua and edus. You postle for both mahatayim. The difference is, if like you just said, the difference is if he's a choshed to be a gazan or if he's definitely a gazan. If he is definitely a gazan, he already established a gazan, you can't trust him. And that's what we're talking about here. If he's a choshed that he gazan, maybe by giving him a shvua, he'll change his mind. He hasn't yet become a gana. It hasn't been established that he's a gana. Maybe that will be the turn will change his mind. That's what Yehuda Chassid says. So the Gemara says, let me ask, and I'll prove it to you from a number of places that even though somebody's suspected of being a gana, we're going to trust him with a shvua. And a number of examples. Why do we say make this tiny swear? Because maybe he's a ganav. That's why it's in the balance. No, name the choshev. What's the point of swearing? If you think he's a ganav, what's the point? So that's not raya. Remember we learned before. Remember we established lav dafke is a liar. Maybe just delay. Exactly. Maybe he's just delaying it. Oh, that's why we make him swear. Okay, Patera, bring another eye. Somebody denies the loan, he's kosher for ages. But Pekadon, if somebody denies a Pekadon, you gave him the mind. He says, never happened. Turned out to be that he has it, he's possible ages. So this is a raya. This is a raya. Why kaifer? Sorry. This is a raya that milva doesn't make him a ganef. If you deny the loan, yet you can still be kosher ages. What do you mean? He's a ganef. No, why? Because maybe he's delaying. In fact, even if he's kaifer completely, once he did it already, if a guy was only made of mixes, we'll say, no, it's not a migli, because he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny the whole thing. But why is he denying part of it? Because he wants to delay. But if the guy Lepoil denied the whole thing, so he showed us that he has a chutzpah, we can still say he did it because he had no money on him, and he doesn't want to be pestered by the balabas, and therefore he wants to use a delaying tactic, and he'll pay when he has. So therefore, we see lav dafke, he's a ganef. Lav dafke is a ganef. Okay, let's go about Shaimin. Remember, we had 3 cows. You need one that you deny. One cow, he says, you never gave me. One cow, he said, yes, here it is. And the third cow, he said, it died by illness. And that's what he has to swear about, the third cow. Now, the fact that he denied one, that means we're choshid that, and making him swear because we're choshid that one, that he's a ganef. Name a migid a choshev. The very fact that you're making him swear means that you're chayshish. So the Gemara even there we're saying that what by a bekadon maybe you're delaying. What do you mean delaying? Why are you denying the cow? Maybe the cow wandered off. You want to hold me responsible for Geneva. I don't want to pay for it yet. I think I can find the ganef. So you first deny you ever got the cow, but your intention is eventually to bring it back, pay it back. Or maybe the cow wandered off, and I hope to go search for it. Right now, if I tell you I have the cow, you can drive me crazy. Where is it? Give it back to me. I'll tell you I never gave it to me. So again, I can interpret his actions as not a ganef. If you tell me that even a kaifer pekadon lav dafki is a ganef, so how come he's postulatus? My postulatus. Name a letter stage to mutigam mishtam. It's like by milva, you say that he could very well be that he's just delaying. So same over here, he's delaying. Savad, maybe he thinks I will search for it, the Mishkach will find it. Says the Gemara, you're right. When we said how kaifer pekadon is postulatus, because the Adam come in and say, what do you mean? The cow's sitting right down in your barn. So you can't say he's looking for the ganef or he's looking for it in the agam out in the wilderness somewhere because it's sitting right there. That's the only time we say that kaifer pekadon is possible. Ki amrina kaifer pekadon postulatus. Ki going to Osasadi. Witnesses come along. As he they testified that he shied to each of the pekadon bases sitting in his house. And he knows. Or inami. He's actually holding on to it. Okay, so still we have no proof yet that somebody who's suspected of being a ganef you can trust with a shur, because each one of them was saying maybe he's not a ganef, maybe just a procrastinator or whatever, delaying. Buddha says one of the shurs you make. Let's say the guy says, you know what, the cow was stolen. Really, I'm potter, but I'm going to pay you. And then when we learned that, you remember, if they catch the ganef, the kefil goes to the shem mechinim because he was so nice that he paid. So Buddha says, 1 second. We'll take your money, but swear that it's not that maybe you didn't fall in love with this cow and you kept in your barn. You thought, why should I go to Matziach and buy a new cow? I love this cow; it works so well. I'll make up a story that it was stolen. I'll pay for it, and you convince yourself that that's so bad. So Rabuna says, we don't. When he's shillim, he wants to pay instead of swearing and getting out of it. We say, okay, no problem, but swear that you don't have the cow. Now, what do you mean? He's a ganef. No, how can you could trust the name of Migdal Choshev and Choshev? So it's not a proof that we can trust him with the shul. Says the Gemara again. No, Hashem Nami. You think the guy doesn't think he's a ganef. He thinks I'm paying for it. What kind of ganef pays for the merchandise? Hashem Nami Moida. He convinces of Amar Domiko Yahavnele. I am giving him money. How can he convince himself that he's such a tzaddik? It says in the Torah, you're not allowed to glus, you're not allowed to desire someone else's property. And here, I have to want your cow. So I'm for that. So how can he? So he's choshed for an aveda. So how can he trust the shura? Says the Gemara, people think, now there's two ways to learn the Gemara. One way to learn the Gemara is that people think that, when you're able to sachmed, that this causes you to steal the item. I really desire it. I'm not going to pay for it. I want it, so I steal it. So Tais asks, so you're able to sigil already. So he says, and you're over two lavin. One is like sigil and one is like sachmed. The other is Ram the right. The others learn that no, So the people think so, but in reality, even if you pay for it, if I desire it because you have it, not because it's a nice car, I like this car. I agree because you have that car. I need to have that car as well. Then even if I pay for it, and I go to you and I convince you to sell to me, I'm over loy sachmed. So the machlekes when the Gemara says is that the way taket is that you're only over loy sachmed if you don't pay for it, but if you pay for it, it's no loy sachmed anymore. Or the reason for that shit is very simple. As the chinuch writes, it's the hardest aveda. This is an emotional thing. You have a beautiful car. I love it. I want it. I want your car, and so on. How do you control these emotions? But if you learn that you're only over l'sachman if you actually pay for it, if you only over if I don't pay for it, if I just steal it, now it makes sense. That's a ma'aser. That's an act. You can control your acts. You control your activities. I won't steal. But to fear a control emotion that I have, what do you want me to do? And others hold. Ibn Ezra has a whole. The other hold. No, that loisachma. Yes, you got to control your emotions. That you don't desire something because the other person has. Okay, then go right to Nachman said if a guy denies the whole loan, make a stream of the rabbanon. How can you know you think he's a ganef? Name a migu the chosher ashvasa. That's question number one. And here, generally, you're not really procrastinating. We're really chosher your ganef. Why else are you making a shuvas hesses? But soon, furthermore. It must be that even though we suspect you being a ganef, but we can still trust you with a shur. Furthermore, Rabchia said, that he tells the storekeeper, paid my employees. He tells the employee, you collect from the storekeeper. Each one claims that it didn't happen. So they both swear and they take Bava. This is a tekon zachamim. You asked before, you don't swear and take. Here, name them. One of them is definitely lying. How can you make them swear? For the very few cases that Rashi asks the question and he remains zerchi, and Rashi just needs the parsha. Rashi doesn't understand. We had before in the Gemara Machlekes Tanoim, Rabbi Yisrael Chamim. What do you mean a brayse of Rabchia? Rashi asks over here, kosherly, why did you leave behind the Mishnah Shavuos and bring a brayse here? And Rashi remains the question. Taste deals already, but Rashi remains the question. The case number 3. We make 3 shvuos, like Peshaitiba. And one of the shvuos is I was not negligent. And the second one, I didn't use it for myself. And he claims it was an einus, and you have to make all of that. I wasn't negligent. And Rashi says that if you were negligent, even if afterwards there was an einus, you're still liable. Once you were paisheya or whatever it is, once you shaler bayad, once you used it, even if you put it back, and an accident happened, you are still chayv. So we need you to swear shaloi shalachti bayad. It's very relevant. If once he swears it was an einus, who cares if it's shaler bayad or not? So actually, we do care, because if he used it for his own use, that's it. He now becomes like the owner, and he's totally like a guy. He's totally responsible. And then the third shvuah is shvuah she'ein b'shusi. I no longer have it in my premises. The fact that we make him swear you're no longer having your premises is l'chayre chasher mamayna. And name a migdal chasher chasher wasser. We have 3 cases here that each one of them l'chayre you can ask why are we trusting him with a shvuah? But Rab Nachman when he denies the whole loan, or Rab Chia says both people, the employees and the storekeeper, go back to the owner. One of them definitely is lying, and yet we make them swear and we trust them. And the third one is by the 3 shvuos. One of them is she'ein b'shusi. There's no longer my reshus. What do you have to swear that for? Obviously, and he said it was an einus, it was an accident, and he's swearing it was an einus. Ella Loy amrinan migu de chosher amen chosher. We don't say if you're a chosher this, you're chosher that. That just because your guy is suspected of being a ganif doesn't mean you cannot trust him with a shmura. We'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll learn what Abaya argues on all this.